No, we already had it. Okay. All right. Well, morning, everyone. Thank you for your time here. And very excited today to present our recent technology development on this flexible virus sensor for COVID-19 and flu sensing. And this is a prototype, and you find quite a bit of a clinical testing as well. So it's a little bit over the proof of concept. So hopefully you find this very applicable in the real life scenarios. Who we are first, right? So what we're doing will come later. So we are a team of scientists from universities, right? We have myself as a material scientist in the low dimensional materials and nanomaterials. We have Professor Yuan Huang, who's a biological science professor, specialties in the nanomaterials, target drug delivery, and toxicities. And also we have Professor Yang Wang. He's formerly on our campus in the aerosol particle field of expertise, but now he's in the University of Miami. He's assistant professor in environmental engineering. We also have Professor Dong-Yun Kim. He's an expert on the electronics side of it and give us a lot of good ideas on making the device viable. And he's on our campus in the EE department. We also have a virologist, Professor Jakob Boon. He's an associate professor in medicine, specialized in virology, and he's in the Washington University, St. Louis. And we also have a strong medical partner, Dr. William Stacker, who is an expert in sensing research, is actually working at the Phelps House Hospital, who actually help us to pull off this clinical tests together. So that's who we are. So you can see a team of scientists trying to develop a sensor basically for virus detections. So what's going on here? So in terms of what we're trying to solve is that you all know that we have this COVID-19 respiratory diseases, which mainly spread through this aerosol, right? So once you have the virus embedded inside a tiny water droplet, and this water droplet flying around and get you infected. You see a lot of home devices that can help diagnose it, right, or detect it. For example, you can get free ones nowadays. But of all these devices, right, they have quite a common features, which is the lack of robust diagnostics. For example, the current devices allow you to do a detection within about 20 minutes. And also the current device require you to poke your nose or do some invasive sampling that's a little bit challenging. This can be annoying sometimes when you have a public mass population trying to do screening purpose. So we are trying to solve the problem here is that if we can provide a device that can enable rapid screening, we're talking about less than 1 minute of detection, and also free of this invasive sample collection process. That means no need to poke the nose, no need to force you to stay there and do your swabs. All you have to do is basically just breath on it, right? A couple of breaths, you get a signal. That will be the ideal solution for a large population screening and fast detections. And this works ideally for public transit system, such as airport, custom, and also for your private parties, right? Say you want to get onto a party and you want to make sure that you're disease-free, it only takes you about a minute to get your results and you can look at it on your cell phone. So such a solution is what we're trying to strive for. And there are apparently abundant needs for this type of solution. We have talked to about more than 50 entities, including clinics in Missouri and Texas, and customers, right? Homeland Security employees, and also international corporations like Alibaba and companies overseas. So from the interview results we obtained, we realize that they do all need a scalable platform that can rapidly detect SARS-CoV-2 in seconds, definitely less than a minute. And I can give an example, for example, things happening in China. We are all right now required to do a 48 hours nucleic acid testing in certain areas. Since in Beijing, Shanghai recently, they're still under quarantines. So people have to do tests for SARS-CoV-2 in a daily basis, right? So their speed efficiency is extremely important. And also looking out for the future, things like SARS-CoV-2 might happen, hopefully not, but might happen. And for this scenario, our device will be the ideal platform for future detections. So with this in mind, what we have done is that we developed a flexible sensor. So we're using an unmasked sensor as a mask as a platform, basically just trying to show that how tiny and how convenient our sensor is in detection. Basically, you can see this tiny spot is our sensor. It contains a serpentine shape of electrodes with sensing materials printed on the top of it. And this sensor is relying on immune sensing mechanism. What it is that we have this magic source, which we develop a new materials, a maxine graphene composite heterostructure materials. You can think of it two atomically thin films that stack together and give you a very high electrochemical sensitivity, where you can functionalize this film with polymers and antibodies. And these polymer antibodies form as this specific probe that can specifically capture the virus that is targeting. So with this sensor, we can quickly differentiate flu and COVID-19 in less than a minute, right? So you can see that we have tested in the hospital. We take 85 patient samples. You can see that our results agree with the current rapid antigen test 100%. And in terms of speed, we're much faster, right? And you can see that this device also comes with electronics part. We have this magic box can transmit a signal to your cell phone instantly. So as you're breathing, you can see that you can quickly pick up the signal. And this is a live monitoring data from one of the patients. As time goes by, so in the first day, this patient has a high viral load, and the second day it dropped down to this level, and the third day the viral load drops to almost zero, right? So this tells you that our device can give you a lifetime monitoring, can actually monitor how the viral load in a human body resides as disease progresses in human bodies, right? So this is what we did. And I want to emphasize a unique feature of this is that it only using breath, right? So it can differentiate the flu and COVID through breath in 30 seconds. So the less than a minute detection time, including also the data transmission, show up your screen, and that's very fast, right? So the potential users include the private companies, airports, public events, concerts, local communities, where essentially the quick data are needed, right? So imagine you're standing in the line, you don't have to wait for 50 minutes, just get your swab, get your results. You can just go there quickly to get the results, and you know whether you got it or you don't, right? So these are some of the advantages our platform can provide. So talk about the market, we did some preliminary market studies. It was estimated that for COVID testing, is a $5 billion estimate for last year, 2021. Of course, in the next few years, this market can shrink down, but the size is still considerable. But for us, the target market, including the rapid screening test for COVID and for flu, and this also includes the small and medium groups. So our market is specialized for a portion of people that we want to do a rapid screening. So that market seems to be more stable. And also for the future markets, as the landscape shifts, right? So from COVID to maybe other things, or COVID has maybe expired at that time, we will also focus on other respiratory diseases. But I want to emphasize that our product is ideal for private airports, companies, and clinics, where sampling or invasive sampling can be trouble, and also for public events where you need to know the results in a flash, right, in quick time. So comparing to our competitors there in the markets, you can see that I list a few that are very well known, very applicable component testing platforms. At the top is PCR, right? This is one of the most known method to detect COVID, which is invasive, right? Because you need to take the sample using nasal swab or oral swab, and it takes much more time, roughly 45 minutes to an hour. It is very accurate using the replicate process, right? Replicate your RNA and DNA, get into DNA and count that, but it's not portable. You usually need a large device, and you have to do the PCR in hospital facilities. And ease of sampling is okay. I mean, it takes a nasal swab, so it's invasive. But we also have the rapid antigen test, where it is still invasive. You still have to do the nasal swab. It takes about 20 minutes or 15 minutes, so it's longer. It's relatively accurate, maybe not as accurate as PCR, but it's okay. It's definitely portable. You have those at your home. It's a small piece. but ease of sampling is okay. It's only okay, right? It still takes some effort. Sometimes we have some inaccurate sampling as well due to this willingness of the invasiveness of the sampling process. And of course, there's a recently new device come out of the market, it's a breath analyzer. It basically uses the electronic noise of your breath, but that is a different animal because it's not specific. So although it's non-invasive, it is now fast still because it takes a lot of analysis and takes a lot of signals from your breath, and accuracy is comparable to rapid antigen, but not as good as PCR, right? And of course, it is not so portable, right? We're talking about a server type of a desktop, square size, a foot by foot, things like that. So it's hard to move it with you, right? I mean, you can set a station, set a booth, but moving with you is challenging, right? And last but not least, it is easy sampling, right? So that's the advantage of the recent development. But we see it as a trend of this testing platform is shifting to breath-based sensing. So compared to all these platforms, our sensor has all the advantages, right? It is non-invasive. You just need to blow on it for about 30 seconds and get the results in less than a minute. It's highly accurate, right? So we're comparable to PCR, and we have our clinic that's to support that. It is highly portable. The whole device, the sensor itself is the size of thumb. The electronic data box is the size of palm, and given time, we can shrink it down into a penny size. And all you need is just a cell phone, right, to get the data. So it's highly portable. And last but not least, it takes nothing to do sampling, right? Everybody can blow on it, and it takes less breath than the alcohol breath analyzer even, right? So it has all the advantages. So I put a quote here, right? Just to tell you that how we think this market landscape is shifting towards breath-based testing. So I hope that our testing platform will play a very important role in this direction. So in terms of our IP and secret sources, we have filed a provision patent. So it's moving to the next stage. And our unique technology is actually the material itself, right? It's this 2D material structure that enables the highly accurate electrochemical signal conversion that give you this rapid and accurate sensing. And we have a very good team, as you can see, that covering all whole spectrum of the expertise here, material science, electronics, biomedicals, everything that we have at our disposal. And last but not least, we are working with local coating manufacturers and searching for partnerships. And there are few companies that are interested in approaching. We're in talk right now. And the stage of development here for our devices that we have tested real patients. We have tested about 85 patients already, and we are going to test more patients, including intake patients from Phelps Health Hospital and Mizzou Health. We mainly trying to compare our test results against the PCR. We have some partial results right now, hopefully to substantiate in the future. And the next criteria for the killing experiment, for the killer experiment, is to ensure that the false positive and negative rates are comparable to PCR tests. As shown here, we have our preliminary data. Right now, the current negative positive rate is about 1.2%, which is lower than 12% of PCR, but still, we only test 85 patients. We're hoping that we test more to substantiate, and with a large sample size, this number might shift, but at least right now, it's very promising. And we are applying grants from other agencies and allow us to test more patients. So in the next stages, we're testing another 100 patients, and we'll hopefully to substantiate our expectations. So in terms of where we're at in technology development, now we have these milestones. First milestone, we want to integrate this multiplex sensor to mask, which we have done so. I want to optimize the mask sensing system, which is ongoing right now. And we also are going to do the next phase of a clinical test, which may need to compare our results with PCR. Like I said, we have some partial results, but we need to substantiate. So that's ongoing. And hopefully with support, we can reach the prototype validation stage. And then for design for manufacturing, bench testing, and FDA filing, and also the manufacturing product launch will follow at a few stages after. The whole time frame, you can see that, it takes about a few years to get this to the real market, right? So it's quite some time, and you might have some questions because now we were talking about what we need to get this there, right, in a few years. So first, we need some funding to support the clinical tests. And we also need partners to help us to explore the market. And last but not least is to make sure that we have a very good manufacturing compatibilities. Now, with all this, we're reaching to the end of the slide, but I want to mention that one question might lingering, like I mentioned here, the whole process takes a few years. What if this COVID pandemic ends, right? What if we run out of variants, we don't have any problem anymore? Do we still need this testing platform? The answer is yes, because as I pointed out, our magic source is the 2D materials highly sensitive electrochemical signal conversion. So this platform is a universal testing platform. We are shooting for a universal testing platform for all respiratory transmitted diseases that has proteins for detecting from biomarker detections. And just to give you an example, we have successfully converted our COVID sensor to a DNA sensor in just 2 weeks, right? So just to show you that how flexible this technology is. So moving forward, if our product gets in the market and the COVID is no longer in the picture, we will shift to other diseases and targets. So that's the solution for the future as well for this technology. So with that, I'm done with the major part of it and welcome any questions and discussions. Thank you very much.